I got a huge stack of comics.
Yo, 張りすぎず緩すぎず美しい音色は程よくチューニング力まずいきます自然のリズムに合わせた気分はミッキーマウス
What is going on, Sundo crew? I hope you are all doing super well. Today I have a huge stack of comic books that I want to go through with you. I bought a few of them from Amazon, but I got most of them from a recent library sale that I happen to take part in. I do this usually 2 times a year. They'll have the sale, and I'll usually go to both of them, and I get something, right? Something. This time I got a huge stack of comics. Not a lot of these are manga. In fact, most of them are not manga. Some of them are, but I thought they were cool nonetheless, and I wanted to show you guys and get your opinion on what you think is the most dope. I've already read a couple of them because I was excited and I just kind of went for it. But cracking right into the beginning of it, this is Ichi F, and this is about the Japanese Fukushima reactor meltdown. It's one guy who was a worker there at the Fukushima reactor. His depiction of what had happened is published by Kodansha. It's $24, $25 retail. I got it for $2. So that is pretty dope. Library sales, you guys. And I've had this in my Amazon wish list since it came out like 2 years ago, and I've wanted to buy it, but since it's so expensive, it's always like taken a spot down in priority because of other stuff. But now I've got it, which is really sweet. So I'm gonna put this here. This is Martin Van James' The Cage, and I read this yesterday, and I have no idea what the hell I read. The drawings are not very detailed, very linear. I read on the back it was like, oh, and this guy is the one of the founding fathers of modern comics. But it was very abstract for me. There are no main characters. It's just one giant run-on sentence. If you guys know about this, let me know, because I obviously missed something. I didn't think it was that good. This is a graphic novel adaptation of The Alchemist. Now, The Alchemist is one of those amazing books, and this is just a comic version of The Alchemist. So it's just some look at it there. I actually have not read The Alchemist because I never cared when it first came out. But I mean, regardless, so that's that, and I'll get to it at some point. Now, the next two I have are Carnet the Voyage and Habibi by Craig Thompson. And Craig Thompson has been one of my favorite North American comic book illustrators of all time. This is Blankets. This is his first major work, Craig Thompson's, and I read this in high school, and it definitely helped shape a piece of who I was then and actually who I am now. I definitely highly recommend Blankets, and after he wrote Blankets, and it's a story about him growing up. It's a true story, based on his life as a child growing up, and his brother and his family, and he is he's taking part in, he's a member of a Christian church, and it's about him leaving the church and going on to explore other options in his young adult life, and this is Carnet the Voyage. This is actually about his travels after he leaves the church and what he does later. All of it is very detailed representations of what he's seen in his travels, and he goes into the Middle East, and let me see if I can get a good representation. That's a great picture. Look at that. That's really cool. So just different pictures of him traveling. There's not really a lot of plot to this one, but it's quite cool nonetheless, and especially if you are appreciative of the man's art or his life or anything like that. That's another good picture there. And then from all of this and from his experiences working on this and traveling, he writes the now critically acclaimed Habibi, and this is also exceptionally good. I definitely her fur blankets over all three of them, and I think it's because I have a special bond with it personally. But Habibi also super good. Next we have Demon. Now Demon is written by Jason Shiga, and it's he writes himself into the comic, but it's obviously not based on a true story. It's just his wild imaginations. And he cannot die. Jimmy Yee is the character here, and he can't die. And he realizes that because he cannot die, he's been possessed by a demon, and it's his crazy, violent, and very adult adventures being possessed. This is Injection, and this is something that came out in like 2015 or 16. I saw it on the shelves, done by Image Comics, $10, not super bad, and I definitely wanted to pick it up then, but I was collecting Saga and something else at the time. I can't really remember, so it just kind of sat on the back burner. But I recently got it now at the library sale. It's $1. You can't beat comics for $1, so happily grab that up. And all of these I've already cleaned up. And I did that off camera, sorry. But I don't like stickers on my stuff, so I took them all off. This is Sonic the Hedgehog. This I didn't buy at the library sale. This I bought brand new on Amazon, and it's the new comics by IDW. And I don't know how I feel about these. The art in it is very good. Let's see if I can get a good picture of some of the art that I really liked. I mean, obviously it's an American comic, so the art changes from story to story. But for the most part, I thought it was pretty good. We get some of the old Archie artists working on this also. But that's some great art there. I love the Sonic character. I love Sonic. I think he's the coolest thing. And so just to have Sonic comics back again is quite cool. For those who don't know, the Sonic was first published by Archie, and one of their illustrators decided to leave the company, and he wanted to take his original characters that he made for the original comic with him. Archie said, no, you can't do that. We have to keep the characters because they're part of the story, and he made like 50 some odd characters. And so he said no, and then he sued them, and he actually won, and Archie Comics canceled the Sonic comic. And to that guy, I say, how dare you? Because the Archie Comics was one of my favorite things, and now that entire world's dead. It didn't even end, it just got canceled, and I'm so upset about that. But that's for a different video. I'm going to make a Sonic comic video in the near future because I can't remember who, but one of you actually asked me about it, and I love Sonic and I love the Sonic comics, and so you're going to get a Sonic comic video. These are Abe Sapien, and these are a Hellboy spin-off about Abe Sapien and his crazy adventures, and I believe these actually take place before Hellboy. Nana is actually collecting the new editions of Hellboy that are coming out, and if you guys want to, maybe she can come back on the show and she can talk to you guys a little bit more about Hellboy. But primarily I got these for Nana and me. Maybe I'll read them eventually, but not anytime soon. There's other stuff on the list. This is Ton Popo. I have no idea what the hell this is. It's done by Boom. And at the time, when I was at the library looking at them all, it had a sticker covering the number 2. And so I thought that it was a one-shot thing because there were not others there. And I don't know, and I'm super bummed now because I wanted to read it. It has really, really quite interesting art. I thought it was really cool. And some crazy monsters. Let me see if I can get that crazy monster. Obviously I haven't read it yet because it is a second volume. And I didn't want to... Oh, look at that freaky guy. So I didn't, like I said before, I haven't read it, I don't know anything about it. I was super excited to, and then I saw that it was a volume 2, and so I didn't. But this little cute little angel girl, oh, look at that! That is freaking crazy. So if anyone knows about Ton Popo, let me know. Written by Camilla DeRecco, something like that. I'm not good with names. So there's that. Okay. This is Guardians of the Louvre, and I don't know anything about this. Written by Jiro Taniguchi, and it's traditional manga style. Like it's backwards for American comics, but the correct way for manga. some art there. Very good, very detailed, very stylized art. And I've heard other people talk about Guardians of the Lift. I think that's Vincent Van Gogh. That looks like Vincent Van Gogh. Huh. That's totally gotta be Vincent Van Gogh. He's got the gun and everything. Crazy. Okay, so I will definitely read this, but I don't know anything about it. But I've heard that a couple people mention it before. So if you guys know anything, let me know. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's whack. I don't know. This is The Last Man, and I got 3 of the deluxe editions here, and I read one of them yesterday. The Last Man is about a world in which it's presumably our world, not some Dragon Ball world, but our world, and all of the men in our world die. All of the male mammals, except for one guy and his pet monkey, who was on the cover. And it's like what the world has to deal with now that all the men are dead or gone. But anyway, so there's all those. And like I said, I read the first one and I thought it was good enough for me to read the next one, but it didn't, like, I'm not captivated by it. It's not amazing. Maybe it's your guys' thing. This is Superman Hell on Earth, and I actually don't like Superman at all. But I pulled it out, and god damn, it looks so cool. And to see Supergirl hanging up there, and Superboy is smashed down on the ground, and Superman's in some chokehold, I was like, yeah, okay, maybe. And I open it up, and I flip through it, and then we get the great, super good art of, what the hell is his name? Kenneth Rocafort, the dude that did the cover, so I was super attracted to the cover. And again, like I said about American comics, it kind of switches off from chapter to chapter, so we don't know anything about what's coming next. But the art is so freaking good. I mean, Supergirl is, but the art is super good. Period. Like, regardless, there's Superboy getting choked out. Look at that. And I don't know who this dude is. I guess he's another Kryptonian. I have long since departed from North American comics, but it looks sweet. It looks really cool. And I read a little bit yesterday where I was taking the stickers off, and I thought it was cool. At least for what it was, I thought it was interesting. So maybe I'll read it. Maybe I'll give it to Abe. I don't know. Abe likes Superman. I mean, the art is not consistently good. And like, maybe, like, that's the same Supergirl, really? Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe it's supposed to look bad. I don't know. And I don't want to insult anybody. What happened is I'm in the manga universe too long, and I'm used to manga. And we get North American art, and automatically I'm like, but whatever. This is Neil Young's Greendale, based on Neil Young's Greendale album. And Neil Young is a kind of like a folk country singer from, like, I want to say like 70s, 80s. But this is the comic book adaptation of Neil Young's Greendale, and I thought it was good. And I like Neil Young's music anyway, so I thought it was cool to see his album in comic book form. And I would recommend it, especially if you like Neil Young. It's definitely it was a fun read. And this is The Massive, and I got the first 5 of these. And I don't know much about this. It's a post-apocalyptic world, and there are different factions. You know how post-apocalyptic stuff is, and they're all competing for resources and to survive. And these were the first 5. I don't know if there's more than 5, or if this is it, but there's that too. Ultimately, I grabbed that one and I said, damn, because that looks really freaking cool. And the art, I'll show you a little bit of the art in it. It's not the best, but it's also not the worst. I mean, that's not bad. Whatever. Let's get another picture. Like, that's pretty cool. Pretty sweet. I haven't read these yet. I read a lot of the other stuff, but not these yet. I'll get to it. And last but not least, this is The Walking Dead Compendium 1. done by Image Comics again. This ultimately retails for $60, and I got it for $10. That's pretty good. And I don't know anything about The Walking Dead. I've never watched it on television, and I've never read any of the comics, and so I know that they're vastly different. Abe has told me that they are vastly different. That certain characters are in some that aren't in the others, and whatnot. But for the most part, I think that I will start with the comics, and if I like that, I'll check out the television series, maybe. I don't really have a lot of time for television recently, but whatever. So there it is, one giant, huge stack of comic books, and we'll pull it again into frame for reference. If you guys have anything, specifically North American comics, I'm trying to get back into a little bit, not crazy, and stuff that isn't your regular, like, X-Men, Batman, Superman, Justice League, Avengers type stuff, because I don't really care much about that. I feel like it's done to death. But I definitely care about stuff like The Last Man. That was a fun read, and that the Greendale comic was a fun read, and things like that. That Demon comic was fun. I really like the Demon comic. I'm gonna get the rest of those because that was super good. But if you guys know any obscure North American titles, I would be happy to take recommendations. As always, I'll take recommendations on anything. Because like I said before, I definitely want to get back into a little bit more North American style, stuff like that. At least know about it, because right now I know nothing. Like, I know Saga is good. And that's about that. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope that you guys are having a splentastic day, and I will catch you later. Peace.